Hi everybody. Last time we made a video, we were discussing the tips and tricks that we can do inside the Zoom client itself, like what the different buttons do and how the breakout rooms work. And this time we wanted to discuss the different activities that you can do while in Zoom. So either while you're actually sharing your Zoom screen or games that you can play and have the boys be in Zoom at the same time. So before we get to that part, just thank you for all those who replied to the video last time and sent to the suggestions. We discussed last time just different things, how to get the different ways of getting the kids involved. And one of the things we said was one Rebbe wrote in that you can have the old-fashioned way, like the boys. You can ask a question to the class instead of like we discussed last time is about you can different buttons. Yes, can mean one answer. No, can mean a different answer. Go slower, go faster. So he said you could just go the old-fashioned way and have the kids write down the answer, and you can say 1, 2, 3, everyone share your answer, and everyone puts their answer on their screen, and then you can see who got it right, who doesn't, and you can see where everyone's holding. And that was one suggestion, and there's a few other ones. One thing that one of the Rebbeim brought up that I didn't bring up last time was when you share your screen. I'll show you over here. There's different options where you can share either anything that's open right now you can share. So you can either share an application itself, like Google Chrome or Dafka or whatever you have open, or you can share the actual desktop. So there's the main difference is that when you share the actual desktop, let's say click on desktop, so you usually share computer sound. Especially if you're showing a video, you need to share computer sound, they'll hear it. So you share, and everyone's going to see everything. So they'll see the website that I have open up in the back. They'll see the application that I have open up in the back. So something to keep in mind if you're sharing desktop, to make sure that you don't have your email open or anything else that you don't want the kids to see. But it could come in handy sometimes if you want to be able to switch between applications and not have to keep doing a new share. So that's something to keep in mind, that when you do desktop, they can see everything that's going on in the computer. But when I'm sharing just an application itself, I'm sharing my wheel that I you don't see here, but it's let's get the wheel out that they can see it. You'll see a green line around the box, meaning on their screen they won't see this Jeopardy thing. They'll only see whatever's within these green lines. So this green box, they'll only see the spinner on their screen as their shared screen. So something to keep in mind that when you're sharing an application, you're only going to see what's on the application. But when you share desktop, you'll see everything that's on the computer. And that's so Shkrif Rabbi for pointing that out. That there's the main difference between, again, sharing your desktop or sharing an actual application. Desktop is everything. Application is only that application they can see. One Rabbi was telling me that one way, like an incentive thing that he has going on, is that he would share an Excel program, an Excel like sheet, to show the boys that as they're reading that he's adding like tickets to their name, next to their name in the Excel sheet, so they can see that they're getting points as they are learning, and it's an exciting way for them to to continue to strive to learn over there. Another suggestion that was brought up was that your whiteboard, you can save it afterwards, after you share your whiteboard and you do whatever you need to draw on it, you write whatever you write on it, you can save it afterwards, and then you can send it out to the kids or the parents if you need to afterwards. So now to bring us to the activities that you can do, especially now we're coming to the end of the year, you might want to start doing like some fun activities with the kids. So here's a few suggestions of what to go ahead and if you have your own, that's fantastic. And here's some that you can add to that repertoire. So again, we discussed last time a little bit about you can use the whiteboard and you can play Pictionary, you can play Hangman, and that's an easy one right over there. Go right ahead, and the boys can. So I always prefer to have a second screen next to me. So while I'm sharing my screen, instead of just me having the couple names, a couple faces over here, I have all the boys right over here next to me, and I can see everyone. So I can go ahead and I can draw and.
and they can see what's going on. And they have to the Pictionary. They'll have to guess what it is, and that's for the whiteboard itself. Um, a few other games that were suggested was that you can play Simon Says. You can. One Rebbe said that he had a scavenger hunt of like something in the pasuk. He said, "Okay, find me this type of whatever we discussed in the pasuk. Find something like that in your house." And everyone ran around. It was a minute and a half to go get it, and they ran around to the house to find that object. And it could like a little show and tell and connect it to the pasukim that you're learning. There's a few cute games that were brought up. That one person they did it for a siyum, that they played a game where they picked one of the students, and they sent one of the students outside of the room, and they picked a different student, and they had the other student, when they came back from the waiting room, to guess which student by asking different questions, 10 questions, whatever it is, to try to get to, like, well, does a girl have glasses? This is, you try to narrow it down, and you try to narrow it down, and that's like a fun way of like sort of like a guess who style game. So, and Rebbe can just do it by himself, that he can play Guess Who. And then a cute way one Rebbe brought up was that how he played with his class, it works a little probably better with younger grades, was that he can even work with the older grades, but he said that he had one boy in mind, and he has the students raise their hands and ask questions, right? They raise their blue hand, and they ask questions, and they say, oh, does this boy have glasses, right? And if the Rebbe says no, like the boy that he had in mind in the class doesn't have glasses, so then he'll shut the screen of all the boys who don't have glasses, who can't be it. And that way he'll narrow it down until the end. The one boy that they can still ask questions while their screen is closed, but it narrows down what questions they would ask to try to find out who the Rebbe was thinking of. So that's how to play Guess Who. And so just something to keep in mind, though, some young boys, like younger like first or second graders, might get offended if you close their video randomly. So just keep that in mind, to let them know in advance they're gonna be shutting their screen, and they shouldn't be upset. One Rebbe made the actual play on Zoom, which was really really fun to watch. Also, that he ended up showing to the parents afterwards that he had this whole play, and he would hide the non-video. So if someone wasn't in that scene, you would hide their video. And if they would close their video, and you could say hide the non-video attendees, and that would put that boy out of the screen, and you'd be able to focus on the people that were in that scene. And then he'd spotlight the narrator. So that was a cool idea that one Rebbe came up with. One fun thing that we tried was that we had all the boys lined up, like all their screens, and I would share my screen of my whole desktop so they see where everyone is situated. Because on their screen, they're always in the top left corner right over here. So I had to show them on my screen where I see them. And when we tried to like pass like a spoon or a pencil across from like one boy to the other boy, and it was like fun, like they're trying to like grab it and pass it to the next guy in the next screen, and then he grabs it and he passes it to the next guy, and it was a fun activity. Something to keep in mind is that a lot of the boys are mirrored. Their video is mirrored, so they might think they're passing it one way, and it looks completely opposite on the video. So they're no, pass the other way, the other hand. And it was a fun activity. So that was one thing. And a different suggestion was to play Taboo, which is you just send one boy out into the waiting room, and you have someone else on his team. If you could split them up into teams, you can have someone else, and you can tell them one word that you need to describe to this boy, but you can't say these certain words to describe it. Right? If you want to describe a bus, you can't say school. You can't say, you want to describe a school bus, you can't say school or bus. You can't say yellow. You can't say wheels, whatever it is. Somehow, whatever words that like would be so obvious that you're saying it, you wouldn't be able to say it, and they'd have to try to get the boy to say the word school bus without saying those keywords that they're not allowed to say. And if he gets it, you're going to get a points for his team, and then you can send different boys to the waiting room and do it different boys, and that could be a fun way of doing that. And you can have charades. So you can either have like just one guy acting something out that you texted him to act out, or you can send one boy out into the waiting room, and you can have everybody. So that way, then it's not just like 20 kids looking at one kid acting and one kid guessing. You can have 20 boys acting out the same thing. It could be something a little bit more difficult, So that guy who comes back from the waiting room has to looking at everyone, they're acting the same thing, but what are they acting? And he has to guess what they are acting out. Another game you could play is like Family Feud, but like instead of like a whole game, you could play a real Family Feud game, or you can actually play like a small game. Would be just like you send two boys out into the waiting room, and the rest of the boys are going to think you pull them on something. You ask them, okay, what's your favorite pizza store? What's your favorite hot lunch? What's your favorite anything in the school, whatever it is, your favorite class, and you give them like four options, and they'll say yes, no, go slower, go faster would be the four. Like, and each one will present something else, and you'll take that data, and then the boys come in, and you said, okay, we asked the rest of the boys in the class what's their favorite pizza store, and these are so they guess, and whichever one gets the one that more the boys said gets more points for his team. And so how do you pick a contestant? The fun way to be would be like you ask like a question on whatever your class, whatever you're learning in class, and you'll say, okay, the 10th boy to answer this question is the one that's going to get picked to go outside into the waiting room and guess when he comes back. And then there was another Rebbe did a whole color war on Lag BaOmer. He did it, and I guess some of these activities you could do during the year as well. He did an escape room, and he put them into breakout rooms, and they had to figure out the puzzles to be able to get out. And the way he broke out the color war was he pretended to have a fire drill. So he pretended to have the class together, and he said, even though we're all in our own homes, we still have to practice. When we get back to yeshiva, we'll be able to. So, and this whole fire drill, everyone would go out to the front of the house, and on the count of five, like, he did a whole, and everyone's like running out, like, what's going on? I have to practice, That was a cute breakout that he did. And then he had a bunch of competitions that he did. One of them was that he'd tell them, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to decorate your screen in your team color, but he didn't tell you the team color, right? And then he'll tell them team color, and he puts a timer, and you have 5 minutes. Go find something in your house, find something that's blue, find something that's green, whatever it is, and decorate your screen, meaning your room that you're in, with those colors. And he had the most creative ones who got the most points for their team. And he did also like make a music video, or have like just the boys acting out the music video without actually singing. Is like a lot of cute ideas that he had. That brings me to I want to show you a few games how they would work that I used in my class to do Chazara mostly, but these can technically translate into a regular classroom as well, post Zoom. So the first thing I wanted to share was there's a website called JeopardyLabs.com, and that it's you can make your own Jeopardy games basically. So the way I would use it is it says you can make 3 teams, and I would make 3 different wheels for the boys, and to click on a boy, then you use the wheel and you click on his name, and then he gets to choose which category. So let's say so I'm sharing my screen, so they all see this, right? They see around that green line, so they see this screen that has a Jeopardy Labs on it, and they'll say, okay, he wants medium 180 to 190 for 100. Right, so you click on it. Right, and those 3 boys. How do they say the answer? You could say you'll say the first boy to chat in the answer on on Zoom, chat it to the host, will get the point. So you say, okay, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. Here you go, comma. Right. So and then in the meantime, I would put on the Jeopardy music, have it in the background. It's like a little fun thing that they're hearing as they're thinking what does comma mean, and then so you can download that. That's like an easy thing to find. And then the first boy to get the answer would get points, would get the 100 points for his team. So then you reveal the answer and what is first, right? So the Jeopardy works is that you say the question is the answer. And okay, fine. Team number 1 was first one. Okay, they get 100 points, and then you can, and you press back and you continue going. And then you call on different boys. You spin the wheels. And one thing I just did in the middle of the game, I just said, you know what? Let's get everyone involved. So everyone's on different teams, but whatever team, whatever player from that team gets the correct answer, will get points for his team. And I'll say, you know what? I'm going to ask you the question, like one guy gets the pick, then I'll ask the question, and before I ask the question, I say I'm looking for the 8th boy to get 8th correct answer. Meaning, so you have to not only have to get the correct answer, you have to time yourself in a way that you don't want to do it too quickly, but you want to do it fast enough that 25 boys in the class, whatever it is, so that it's like a fun, like little extra gamesmanship going on besides just the getting the correct answer. You have to time yourself also, and it's good also because then the boys that only got it a little slower, they could be the 8th one anyways. It could be the 10th one. It could be the 15th, whatever the number I chose that round. Or I can even let other boys choose the numbers, and they can like be involved that way. And that way, it's not only like, well, the fastest guy, the smartest guy's going to get it, because you have to be the 8th person. It could be, who it could be anybody in the class. So that's a fun way to do that. So that's how it works with this Jeopardy. And this Jeopardy game it's very easy to make, and it's a lot of fun for the boys to play. So JeopardyLabs.com. It's a free option, and you can pay also if you want, but they have a free option as well. So you click on the thing, and they have the answers, and you can do it with the wheels. And that was a fun game that we played in class. And the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to go through those 4 main game sites that I saw. There's a couple other smaller ones as well that a lot of their game were using. I just wanted to go through them and show the pros and the cons of each of the different games. The first one that the very popular one is called Kahoot. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen so I can show you over here how it looks. Okay, so now you take Kahoot and play Kahoot. So here, this is the game. This is the screen that I'll be sharing with the boys. Right. So I load my screen, and it tells me that the boys should join at Kahoot.it. And so this is it. So the boys that are on a tablet will be at a disadvantage because they will have to switch between their Zoom screen and their browser or whatever they're using in order to see the answers. Because the way it works with Kahoot, it's a lot of fun, the game. So first of all, so just to show you how the screens look. So over here, once the players log in, they'll go to Kahoot.it. What I like about it is that there's nothing else. It's a clean site. There's no other games, nothing that they're seeing over here. The only option is to put in the code. It's only a game pin. That's the only option you have on the page. So they're not seeing any outside distractions. You go to Kahoot.it, and that's all they see. So, and then in the meantime, then they say press enter, and they ask you for a nickname, and you write okay, go, and then it'll show up over here on my screen. So when I see I have all the players there and all their names, then I am ready to start. And in the meantime, they're just saying you're in, you're ready. So I start, and 3, 2, and 1. So they're all waiting. They're all seeing my. So I sharing my screen in the meantime, and then the question is only on my screen. So it says translate melee. The question is only on my screen, and they don't have any of the answers. They have to look at my screen to see where the answers are. So the green is the correct answer over here. So they have to click green on their screen, but they have to switch back and forth. So if they have a computer, it's not a big deal. You put them next to each other. And you get points for as fast as you get them correct. Meaning that if I would have got them quicker, I would have got them more points. So you get points for getting it right and getting it correct. Getting it right and getting it fast. The fast, so it's a game. It's also one of the down parts, if you want to say, of the game is that it's more geared towards the stronger boys do better. The weaker boys they fall behind already, and it's hard for them to catch up. So what I try to play these games with like Melee or something that a lot of boys are good at, are strong at. That way they can also feel involved the whole time, and they're not like too far behind, even if they are behind. And what's good about Kahoot is that there's like a stoppage after every game, after every question, right? Until I press next. So if I see, wow, like 5 guys, like half the class got it wrong, so maybe I have something I need to reteach something at this point. Like I could just stop for a second and say, and explain whatever it's here. I'm doing with words, but let's say I could just stop and explain, like if I asked the question and half the boys got it wrong, I could see, okay, this is a question that everyone got wrong, and I can have a bunch of boys got wrong. I can explain now where their error was. So what's good is that it stops after every question until I press next. They don't continue, and it's like fun because then right after the thing it shows you a leaderboard and it shows you how many points you have, who's in second. It shows you, and after every round it shows you who goes up, who goes down. So that's the boys love this game. It's competitive. It's competitive, and it's a good way to do chazar. It's a fun way to do chazar for them. So again, one chisaron is that one chisaron of this Kahoot is that it's more that the better boys do better. The stronger boys do better, not better boys. The stronger boys do better, and so sometimes the weaker boys feel aren't as involved in the game. But one way that I saw was very interesting that could be brought down was that you can bring it into the classroom. Maybe it would be, besides just doing Chazara, and that's a fun way to do Chazara, there is, you can teach from Kahoot. Meaning you could just start off with like a blind question, a question that the boys are not supposed to know, and then you can, on Kahoot, there's a lot of fun different ways of asking the questions. You can put them, the questions could be multiple choice, could be true and false, it can be a poll, it can be put these in the correct order. So you can ask something about chronological. I'll ask like different, which Rebbe was born first, or which Tanaim, which Amoraim were born first. You can ask these different questions. Who would be more chayiv? Who would be in these situations? And it's a good chazar question that there's not just like a multiple choice like a lot of the other sites. This one has different options as well. So that's what I like about Kahoot. So again, so one thing is that you can even somehow I never tried it this way, but you can use it as a way to teach. That you start off with, so it's like they're in the game mode a little bit, but you start off with a question that they shouldn't have known necessarily. Then you'll teach them, and then you'll teach them. You can add a couple slides that aren't worth points about what things they can learn about it. Then you can ask the question again to make sure that they understood it, and there you can break out that way. You can scaffold it for them like that. So that was a fun way of playing Kahoot. It's a very popular game. The next game I wanted to talk about was quizzes. So that's also another popular game. Right, so quizzes. So this is the host screen, and I'm ready to start. I'm just waiting for them to sign in. So one chisaron of quizzes is that there are other things on the screen. It tells you to go to joinmyquiz.com. For the boys, when they do joinmyquiz.com, it'll take them to quizzes./join, but there'll be other stuff. So there's nothing too, at least I haven't seen anything that's too out of the ordinary, but just there are other things. So it's not just your screen, like the other Kahoot is just your screen, just the game, pin, nothing else. Quizzes is the one game that for some reason has other things, like they want you to try the other games as well on their website. So there's that. So that's the one chisaron that Quizzes has, but one mila that it has. So let's say you join the game. So start game. And here I am showing up on the thing, and there's like a cool, there's like a background where you can have, there's like a car in the background. It's like a cool background you can do. So let's say they start the game. The one good thing about Quizzes is that they don't need my screen. My screen is just a leaderboard. They don't need my screen in order to answer it. It's a student-paced game. So Be'apa, in front of it, he moves on, gets it correct, and it'll show him something that show like a cute little meme on the screen. And then there's in the meantime it's showing a leaderboard, so all the boys that are doing it. So you don't really see with other boards. You see the leaderboard, but you don't see like that. Oh, everyone has everyone 10 guys answered already. Like you just do it at your own pace in a way, so that it's less pressure on the boys, on the weaker boys. They can be involved and they can just do it at their own pace and don't need to worry about the leaderboard because that you'll get the same many points whoever gets it at the end correct. So that's Quizzes. So in the meantime, I could be showing this on the screen if I wanted to show the leaderboard. I can show the different people going up who has more points if that's something that I wanted to do. So it's not it loses some of the excitement because there's no like you have to answer quickly because everyone else is answering. So it doesn't have that excitement of Kahoot that like, okay, 3, 2, 1, go ahead, because we're all on the same question right now. Because I could be on one question, someone else could be up to the next question already, and it doesn't affect my point so much as long as I get them quickly in at the end or correct at the end. So yeah, and one mila that Kahoot has that Quizzes doesn't is that Kahoot I can stop after one question because we all did one question together. And I see a bunch of boys got it wrong. I can explain what's going on over here, like explain why we made the mistake. But by Quizzes, since everybody's up to their own questions, I can stop after the game and say, look, on question 2, a lot of boys got it wrong, and go back to there. But it loses some of the effect of when I could do it right in the spot that I could do that with Kahoot. So then the next game that is very popular is Quizlet. So it's Quizlet.live. Quizlet is it's been around for a while. It's like flashcards, and then there's Quizlet.live, which is like their game of how to play like a similar game, like a multiple choice game, and some of these things could have other features. I only use the multiple choice on Quizlet. I'm not sure if it has other features as well, but I know Kahoot has like you could do in different orders, you could do true and false, and I think these other ones have some of these features as well. So one thing interesting, Quizlet they started having an individual thing as well now. You can play individuals, but one thing that I think Quizlet Live could work in the classroom even is that it's a team-based game. It's usually they break into teams of like 3 players or more, and usually 3 players, they put you into teams of 3. And what does that mean? Is that when they ask a question, so this is where it looks. The Quizlet, this is how the teacher's thing would look. So it looks like this. The teachers, it just shows you the code, and they go to Quizlet.live, and then when the boys go to Quizlet.live, they just have a place. It's a clean board again. So like Kahoot, it's clean. There's no other games going on, and they just put in the game code, and they get joined on my thing. When you have enough players, then you can start your game. And one good thing about Quizlet Live is that since it's a team game, you're not going to have so much like the one boy dominating like you might have in Kahoot or Quizzes that the stronger boys will do better usually. Quizlet Live is like a collaborative game, meaning you have 3 people on your team. They'll say, let's say you're doing flashcards and I'm doing Milim or whatever it is. Or I could do questions. But let's say if I'm doing Milim like I was showing on other games, it would say give me one word, and it'll give me a bunch of different translations. But since there's 3 guys on that team, only one of us will have the correct translation. So let's say we each get three flashcards on our screen. Of the 9 cards, only one of them is the correct answer. So we have to like, okay, who has this word? Who has the chada means 1? Who has 1? You have 1. I don't have it. So you have it. So you have to work together. So that's that's a good thing that it's not just one guy just answering for everybody. You have to work together and find out in whose screen has it. One thing that was a little harder for some of the boys to take was that on Quizlet Live, if you get it wrong, you go back down to 0. It's whoever can answer all of them in a row. Whoever answers 12 in a row. So there's usually 12 flashcards per game, so it's really short games because stronger groups just go quickly through it. But you can play a bunch of games in a row and it'll switch up the cards for you, so you don't need it. If you have a bunch of cards, it'll just keep randomizing it. So it'll do it by itself. So you don't need to make a new game for yourself every time. You just start and it starts a new game. So there's a lot of teamwork and communication that you have to have in order for your team to do well, because you can't just, well, I don't have the answer, well, I'll press a button anyways, because then you go back down to 0, and you have a whole team, you have 3 guys that are on your team. So I saw a few different ways to play I thought was really, really cool, was that besides the regular way of trying to communicate that way, so now you would do it, I guess, you put them into their own breakout room. So the way I did it when I did Quizlet Live, I put 3 guys in each breakout room. And they don't need my screen to see the questions by Quizlet. Only by Kahoot do you need the host screen in order to see the questions. Here they have their own questions on their own at their own speed on their own screen. And the only thing is about Quizlet Live, if you're doing teams, only one guy would have the correct answer, so they have to work together. So one way to play would be that the problem is that you have some teams that will just go quickly, and some teams are stuck on the 3rd question, and they didn't get to review the other 9 questions that you had. So one thing you could do is you could play to 11. Since there's 12 questions, you could say we're playing to 11. So whoever gets 11, they won the game. But at least everyone will get to 11 eventually. So some giveaways might take a couple minutes longer, but then everyone will at least have reviewed their material. So that's something to keep in mind. So everyone has to play till 11, so it doesn't, because if if you're playing till 12, meaning the game is till 12, when somebody wins, that ends the game. The game's over. Meaning that team was only up to 2 questions. They got the second one wrong and went back to the beginning. Then they didn't review any of the other questions that you had. So one way is to play till 11, and that way everyone gets to finish. Another couple of ways that I saw that were really interesting to play Quizlet was, let's say, in a classroom. You can have, so like 3 guys on the team, so you'll have the 3 computers, the 3 screens in front of you, and you can have them all on the wrong side, meaning like I can turn my screen around. So that I don't see any of the answers, right? And then I'll have 3 guys that don't see any of the answers. We have the 3 computers next to each other, and we're all standing behind the computers. And we'll each have to, and when we start the game, each boy has to come and find it on the computer, and then the next guy has to come and find it on the computer, and then maybe the next question or whatever it is, and then so everyone has to it's like a relay race in a way that these guys to find it, he click it next. Then the next question is the next boy has to run around the computer, and he finds it on the 3 screens. He's looking to see what their correct answer is next, and then so it's like there's like movement in the classroom also, and it's a whole team because only one person gets the question, and they're all need to do a little sivuv running around and finding it on the screen. Another interesting way of playing Quizlet live would be, you wanted to call it this, man. I wanted to call it Quizlet quarterback, meaning you'll have your three computers in front of you, and you'll only have 2 boys sitting. So 2 boys are sitting like in between the middle and the side ones. So what happened was they have their head down on the table, and the question will pop up. They're looking down, and there's one boy that's standing behind them. He's the quarterback, right? So he has to find the answer, and he touches the shoulder of the boy that's closest to that computer. So meaning, let's say the answer is all the way on the far left computer. He would touch the boy on the left in front of him's left shoulder, and that would refer to that computer. And if it's on the far right, the far right computer, he'll touch the boy on the right shoulder, and that boy will know that it's on that screen. He'll find it over there on that screen. So you need 2 boys playing at the same time. You have the quarterback to find it right away, and then he'll tap somebody on their shoulder. And if it's one in the middle, it's on the middle screen. He'll tap either the right guy on the left shoulder or the left guy on the right shoulder, and he'll find it on that screen. That way, there's more than one boy involved in playing that game. So that's for Quizlet. And then the last game that I want to discuss today was something called Gimkit, which is a really interesting game as well. That there's different ways of playing. You could do it according to time or race, but like you can see however we finish the questions first, or according to times. Time will just replay the questions again. So you might have to have a lot of questions for this game. So this is, again, Gimkit. It's very good. Also, they go to gimkit.com/play, and it looks like this is a clean game thing, and they don't see much else on the screen. So let's see. I played with 5 minutes. So I start my thing. Continue. Right. So I start here. It's going to give me that code over here. So I go 53962. Great. Let's join. And very good. So ready to start the game. So it's starting over here. Tisha, he hit it. And I get money. When I have a certain amount of money, I can go to the shop and I can raise the money that I make per question. If I get in a streak, I can do a multiplier. I can pay insurance so I don't lose so many points if I get it wrong. So there's a lot of cool little things you can buy with the money you get right for getting the correct questions. So there's a lot of fun that way. And so it's a fun way of reviewing. And there's also like this power-ups that they buy, and they could multiply, and so it's like a lot of action going on in those 5 minutes. It's like a jammed class. And even if some of the questions come back again, they're so busy trying to raise more money, trying to spend the money on the right things, and but while they're not even realizing they're reviewing, which is the good thing, that they're reviewing the whole time, and they don't even focusing like, oh, I have to review again, because that's a fun way everything. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video and Hatzlacha, and please let me know if you have anything to add, and I'd love to hear back from you. Thank you.